Hi everyone. I'd like to go through our next paper assignment with you. Since I'm not going to be there and we won't have class on Wednesday or Thursday, as you're finishing up the Henrietta Lacks paper, I know we've still got a little bit longer in our process with that one, but it is time to start thinking about topics for the next assignment. So we're not going to start working on this just yet, other than starting to read about research and start to think about potential topics that might work for it. But I do want to get you started in that sense. And so we're going to go through the paper here together, the assignment, and I'll maybe offer some commentary that isn't in the assignment sheet, and then hopefully give you some good leads on where you can start thinking about potential topic choices, some places that you can look for some options there. So let's go through this. We have the explanatory research-informed essay. So your final major essay will be an explanatory research-informed essay. In writing this essay, you'll convey information about a subject without giving any criticism or argument. So this is a completely objective overview. In your explanatory essay, you will explain an issue which you find interesting but don't know a lot about, which is important for informed, educated people to understand, and which is complex and open to multiple perspectives. Your explanation will give your readers sufficient background so that they can consider intelligently the various possible perspectives on the issue. Your explanation will not take a position on the issue, since your purpose here is to inform and not persuade. Your research will include finding 3 articles that present varying perspectives related to your topic, not 3 articles that present the same perspective. In your essay, you will summarize each article, highlight each article's relevant points, and synthesize the information from all 3 articles in order to consider the implications of the issue. So here's our organizational pattern for this paper. And as the note says here, don't think of each section listed below as a single paragraph. Of course, we want to start with an introduction. Remember, ANT, our attention getter, our necessary background, and our clear, narrowed thesis statement. Then we're going to take it article by article. And again, you need to have exactly 3 articles for this assignment. And the articles need to present differing perspectives on whatever complex issue you're exploring here. So for each article, we'll begin by introducing and summarizing it. We'll clarify the author's perspective, and we'll highlight the major points made by the author regarding your specific topic. We'll do that for all 3 of the articles. And then before we conclude, we're going to focus on synthesis. In the synthesis section, you'll combine the ideas from all 3 articles. You're going to show us how those articles talk to each other about the issue. You'll note where they share a common ground and where they differ. Use an appropriate mix of paraphrasing and direct quoting as you illuminate the various perspectives you've discovered in the articles, and we'll continue to work on those paraphrasing and quoting skills. Pose any implications that are to be considered after reviewing these sources. In other words, why should we care? Do not insert your personal opinion here. You are merely presenting the implications of your findings. And then, in the conclusion, we'll bring the essay full circle by again addressing the thesis statement and exit by allowing the reader to understand how this information is important. As I said, we're not going to start writing this paper just yet, but I do want you to start thinking about topics. So, some notes here on suitable topics. Remember, recycled topics are not allowed. The course syllabus says all work you turn in or present must be your own work prepared specifically for this course. It is not acceptable for you to write your paper on a topic you have investigated for a previous course or using material that you've borrowed from someone else. If you have a strong opinion about a topic, don't use it for this paper. It will be too hard to remain objective. Some of you struggled with keeping your opinion out of the rhetorical analysis or the editorial cartoons. It would be probably even more difficult here if you choose a topic that you have a strong opinion on. Again, we're not persuading, we're informing our audience about the various perspectives, the different angles on a complex issue. The topic must be a complex issue, one that's possible to see from various perspectives. The topic does not have to be highly controversial, but it must matter to you and to others. It should be significant. So, for example, knowledgeable people might genuinely differ about appropriate ways to deal with an excess of cats at the animal shelter. Though a majority of county residents might be indifferent, the topic is still a significant issue. Thoughtful people should be informed about it. Tips for finding topics. When searching for a topic, make lists of possible campus issues, possible community issues, possible issues beyond campus and the community. Observe your world. With which issues are you and the people around you grappling? Make use of topic lists found through databases on the MCC Library website. I'll show you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Browse current topics featured in magazines carried in the MCC Library or a local library if you're not on campus. Browse current events in online newspapers and other reliable sources. As soon as possible, begin reading about topics of interest to make sure you can narrow the topic, provide adequate background, explain differing perspectives, and research the topic through reputable sources. So as we start, it's important to be focused on the right things. We don't want to start with our own perceptions and biases. Instead, we want to ask the following questions and try to arrive at clear answers to them in this order. Who is my audience? Who needs to read this? What does my audience need to know? Why should my audience care? Why should my audience listen to me? Requirements for this paper. Your paper will be entirely in MLA format. MLA format trumps any other formatting requirement used in previous essays in this class. Our QWS standards are mostly MLA, but there are a couple of things that we'll need to add. You must refer to your handbook and follow MLA rules exactly for this paper. This essay must be your most highly polished essay to date. After all, it's worth the most points by far, and it is your final process written paper for this class, so it should demonstrate your best work and your growth throughout the semester. The length is the 3 to 4 page minimum up to 5 pages. That means for our minimum, we're past 3 pages and at least on to page 4 somewhere, and then stopping at 5 pages for our max, okay, excluding the works cited page. The essay will incorporate information from, again, exactly 3 articles from reputable newspapers, magazines, or journals. A relevant blog post by an expert in a field of study related to your topic is also acceptable. But notice, that's an expert. Your essay must demonstrate your ability to incorporate research that is summarized, paraphrased, and directly quoted. You must demonstrate your ability to incorporate both a long block quotation and a standard, not blocked quotation. Directly quoted material must not exceed 15% of the paper. All research must be properly acknowledged and cited using MLA format. Important note, papers not meeting this requirement will be considered incomplete. When the final draft is submitted in hard copy, photocopies or printouts of source materials will also be submitted. They will be marked as follows. Quoted material will be highlighted with yellow. Paraphrased or summarized material will be highlighted with some other color. Submission will not be accepted without turning in your supporting materials and highlighting them according to those instructions. The evaluative criteria, you can read through this on your own. I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you, but it does talk about organization, the fact that it has an informative nature as opposed to being persuasive, the fact that it needs to be interesting for your audience, authoritative, which happens when you use good evidence to support what you're saying, and obviously, as I already said, polished. This is a 70-point assignment, by far the most heavily weighted paper of the course. Don't be misled by the number of weeks that we'll be spending on this assignment when you look at the calendar and think that you can just kind of put off the work. You will need all the time provided in order to write a quality paper. So we have several due dates here, and these correspond to your course calendar. Notice on here that I'm listing 2 due dates for each bulleted item, Monday or Wednesday for the Monday-Wednesday class on campus, or Tuesday-Thursday for my Tuesday-Thursday class at Fulton. So we have a deadline for the complete polished draft, which you can see is 23rd or 24th of November, down the road a ways. We're going to be working in Eli for peer review and a revision plan for this paper, and also the final draft will be coming in a week before we end the class for Christmas break, or the end of the fall semester. Okay, so I see I left out the 15 on these dates here, but it would be December 2nd, December 3rd. That's a week before our final class meeting for this semester. Okay. Now, what I want you to be doing, as I said, not starting to write this right now. We're going to talk about this a lot once I get back and we've taken care of the Henrietta Lacks paper. But I want you to be thinking about topics. Okay. And so I did a topic search a year ago or so, just thinking about things that I might want to investigate for a paper like this. And I came up with the following list. Now, I'm not posting this here so you can just steal a bunch of topics from it. But what I'm going to ask you to do is to come up with a similar list for yourself. Okay? So after a topic search, these are some of the things that came to mind. Is the legalization of marijuana inevitable in Michigan? Or is it a good thing or a bad thing? What are the moral or ethical implications of drone strikes? Moral or ethical implications of the death penalty? Is there a reasonable ground in the abortion debate? A reasonable middle ground in the abortion debate? Should schools replace textbooks with tablets? What's a reasonable approach to gun control in America? What's the solution for America's problem with illegal immigration? Are social networking sites helping or harming society? Should young girls get the HPV vaccination? Or now I understand they're offering it for young boys as well. Is the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, otherwise known to some as Obamacare, good for America? Is the use of standardized testing improving American schools? Should teachers get tenure? Is spanking an appropriate method or effective method of parental discipline? How do music streaming services such as Spotify and Pandora affect musicians and the music business? You should also consider issues raised by your editorial cartoons. Maybe you saw some things as you were searching through that, through the cartoons for your rhetorical analysis that might end up being a good topic for this paper as well. So just some thoughts there about the topic search, and that's what I would like you to be thinking about between now and our next class meeting, in addition to the work that you're doing for your Henrietta Lacks position paper. Let me show you now some of the things that I did to come up with this list of potential topics.